East is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel.
Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters.
In 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With the great escape we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. That's who we be. Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans, our highest gathering Israel. The Arabs and Africans told us at gunpoint.
Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Rawchaa of the Gathering of Christ Church, here with our weekly update. I hope you all are doing fine. And keep in mind, we're in some trying times prophetically. Okay? And I'm going to be addressing a lot of this as the end grow near, so that believers, those in Christ who understand this Bible, can come under the hedge of God while there's still time. While there's still time, brothers and sisters. Okay? Now, today on Patreon, for our loyal Patreon members, of course, there's things that we can actually discuss there that openly that cannot get discussed on certain platforms such as this. And this is why, brothers and sisters, I come to YouTube first to let you all know I'm going over to Patreon. All right? Because there's a few things, of course, you all know that cannot get discussed here freely. Where most conversation must be buffoonery, entertainment, or politically correct, political correctness, political correct conversation. Okay, where you cannot have an opposing view from a biblical perspective. Okay, so that's why I come on early to make sure I let you all know I'm transitioning over to Patreon. And another reason why we have a great platform, a classroom setting every Sunday with our Hebrew and Bible Academy, okay? So those are the places that we can right now and freely give brothers and sisters the insight of what's going on prophetically and how to protect themselves. Why? Because Satan is attacking, okay? And and I'm going to tell you, it's coming out full board and is no longer behind the veil or behind the scenes. The unseen hand is live and direct. Okay? And the unseen foot is on our necks. Okay? So I come here on Patreon so that I can let brothers and sisters, I come here for our updates to let you know what we'll be discussing on Patreon. Okay? Now, for those, again, who would like to become a part of the Hebrew and Bible Academy, just go to historytimes.org. Okay? That way you're in with the Hebrew and Bible Academy. You're in with us on a weekly basis every Sunday to get Hebrew news, updates of what's going on in the earth that's not getting reported here. And on top of that, the lessons. None like any lessons you have ever experienced. And we can guarantee that, okay? To understand your Bible, okay? So that's historytimes.org for that. Tomorrow, before I give you all the Patreon update and what we'll be going into, tomorrow in particular, all right, I'm going into a lesson. We'll be discussing a serious lesson I'm putting together when Satan attacks. When Satan attacks. Okay? Because a lot of brothers and sisters don't recognize when they're under spiritual attack. When Satan has your name and focused on you and your family. Okay? And at the same time, there's a singular focus to attack you in particular. All right? And some people don't realize when they're under attack. They just think it's just bad luck. They just think, well, I don't understand. A matter of fact, most people out there don't even know what spiritual attacks are. So how do you know that when you are under a direct attack from the spiritual realm? When you have that uneasy spirit, when you feel dark or your conscience isn't clear, what's operating on the outside, focusing on you? Well, that and more will be discussed tomorrow on I believe it's going to be a groundbreaking lesson here on YouTube. And we're going to do that at 12 noon tomorrow sharp. When Satan attacked. You don't want to miss that lesson. Okay. And I'm talking about on the individual level and on a community level and on a nation level. So I don't know anyone out there who would want to miss this particular broadcast tomorrow when Satan attacks. Next, let me just go over real quick what we'll be talking about on Patreon in a few moments. Okay. First and foremost, for all the brothers and sisters out there who continually support the church, we thank you for all your contributions and your prayer and everything you do to keep this church going. All right. Another thing I would like to say is that I promised brothers and sisters last week who didn't get a chance to speak to Dr. Truman when it comes to herbal health and natural healing concerning certain illnesses. Well, we went on as long as we could up until almost 5 p.m. and I can't do that today. Okay. So I promised brothers and sisters who were cut off in queue that wanted to speak to the doctor that we would make some time this week for Dr. Truman to answer those particular health questions, because there's a lot of people who don't realize what's coming down the pipeline and don't even know what medicines are readily available for you that God made from the earth. Okay? With the fact that after what we've been dealing with for the last couple of years under the code and under the masses and all these things, well, there was a transition of the healthcare system altogether, where doctors and all that, certain doctors will now have a network of people under them that will move eventually the regular practitioner out of the way, where it will be just you conversing like you and I are doing here through a video. So that's what things are going, and prescriptions you can pick up and all that. They're taking over the whole healthcare system. All right. So they were putting that in place, folks. So who knows down the line politically what they're going to force you to do to even speak to a doctor or get medications. So that's when we have to go back to what it was before all of this, before Big Pharma. What's out there naturally that we can utilize to help ourselves, okay, when it comes to sicknesses. And on top of that, we can utilize some of these remedies on a daily basis as preventive measures so that, hey, you may not even need a doctor if you know what to do with your health naturally, okay? So we went into that. We talked about the benefits last week of dandelion. How dandelion was deemed a weed when it's not. It's actually medicine. It goes all the way down in the earth and get all the minerals out of the earth. And it can help with most ailments our community suffers with. And guess what? That's freely given to us by God in your backyard, on your front lawn, on the side of the highways. It's like the Most High has angel healing food right there that this world called weed, that they know have serious medicinal qualities, right? Naturally, that's what the ancients used. Dandelion. The flowers, the leaves, the roots, all of it is food and what? Heals the body. Okay, so y'all need to look into that. What are the healing qualities of dandelion? Look that up. Dr. Truman talked about it, okay, last week. Look that up and then see if you are exhibiting some of those sicknesses yourself. Just look at what dandelion does. Okay? Just look it up, because the Most High said, and here's the biblical part. Of course, I'm not a doctor, and neither do I claim to be one. Yet the Bible states that the Most High made the herbs for healing, for meat. Okay? To put back the minerals. Okay? And the vitamins we lose on a daily basis. The earth revitalizes our body, regenerates. It actually helps us put back what we lose through life itself, just expending ourselves on a daily basis. The earth gives back and heals her children. Okay? So I don't want to take too much time on that. We only got 3 minutes before I segue, all right? But yes, I promised the loyal Patreon members, and I thank you loyal Patreon members, for being a part of this, that we would give you extra time this week that was lost with Dr. Truman last week. So I'm going to make sure we go into that, and Truman will be on the line probably between 2:30 and 3 o'clock, and for 30 minutes, we'll be taking phone calls, okay? But what we're going to talk about in general going into Patreon, because I told everyone out there, when all the news that were being reported out there when it comes to the shootings and different things of that nature, I said, well, listen, what media says is on them, whatever the case is. But what we usually do is we usually sit back and watch it from a political perspective to see what comes next. Okay? Not to get caught up. Because the Bible tells us that we're not to deal with the signals from below. We're supposed to listen from what's coming from on high. And the Bible tells us about a spirit, Satan, who used fear to put people under subjection. And when you're under the subjection of fear, now you're controlled by the principalities and the powers of the air, which is media. Fear is a tool utilized by the devil so that now you're under their signal. Right? So that's why when it comes to any event or anything that goes on, I view it from a heavenly view, a prophetic view. I filter all that's below through the Bible, which is what? From heaven. I don't get triggered. I don't get emotionally I don't get emotionally taxed with these particular stories, because I understand, that's right, the trickery of the devil. And it is upon him to pull on your heart first. So that leads us to where we're going. I said we must see what comes next. Well, this is what comes next. Canada banned all handguns in Canada. Canada, and we're going to talk about that on Patreon. The banning of the handguns. Right? And this is why I say I don't get caught up into the initial programming or the initial hysteria. Because when the smoke clears, you really understand what's going on. And then you can react accordingly. Okay? Now, what does this mean for us? Well, I assume, and I'm not sure, but usually after looking at these things and witnessing these particular events over and over again, when a law is usually pushed in another country close to America, now I look for the media within America to state things like, why can't we do what Canada is doing? Okay, or the deficiencies in our laws compared to how other countries act in the midst of what you would call an emergency, in the midst of a catastrophe. How America is lax compared to other countries when it comes to something catastrophic. Now I'm looking for those stories to come now. How it is something happened here and it didn't even happen in that country, but yet they're taking greater measures to protect their people. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with us? Now I'm going to start looking for those stories now. Okay? But I digress. Right? Next, what we're going to be talking about also before I bring in Truman, we're going to talk about how more than 20 black staffers left the White House last week, brothers and sisters. How a lot of our people who were politically pulled into the George Floyd thing, into the riots, and not realizing the political implication of pulling on the heartstrings so that they can get what? 4 more years of liberal progression against righteousness. But they needed the black vote. And now our people within there are realizing that they were conned, they were lied to. But guess what? It doesn't matter. It's too late. It's too late. That last election cycle was the cycle in which our people had the power, all the power, to push back at what's coming against us. It's too late. Because they only needed 4 more years to come up with something that will eventually begin to move our people out of the way and to bring in new people to replace us. And that's all I can say here right now on that. The next thing we're going to be talking about, the zombie task force. There was someone who actually, brothers and sisters, let me get it. There's someone. The zombie response. Someone just, brothers and sisters, on the side of the road, were able to film this. A vehicle rolling down the street. Apparently, it looks like a military vehicle rolling down the highway. Zombie response team. Zombie response team. Now, there's a lot to this, and we're going to lead. We're going to lead with this particular video concerning what comes, what they didn't tell you the last couple of years, and also what's being prepared, because that's why I named this Disarming of the People and all that. Yeah. But why? Why is it that now we have certain gun control things going in there, right? Why do they feel a need to really focus on constitutional protection when it comes to citizens being able to protect themselves with what they call guns? And how does this zombie thing and other chemicals connect with Wi-Fi and all these other things, 5G and all these others? Well, some people in the midst of fear for the last couple of years compromised themselves, and they have no idea. They have no idea of the gravity. They don't know the gravity of their choices. They have no idea what the gravity of their choices were, making those decisions and not standing with God through them. Okay? So that's all I can say right now, brothers and sisters. I'm past the time. I'm 5 minutes past the time. We're going to go over into Patreon. I thank you all for continually supporting the church. All right. If you have issues with your Patreon page, okay, Usually the issues are on your side, okay? You have to make sure, brothers and sisters who are Patreon members, you must make sure that when you come to Patreon to view the Gathering of Christ Church videos, you must make sure that you hit the play button, and if you can't hear sound, you must unmute the speaker with a line in it. It's upon you, okay, to play the video. It's not like YouTube where you go to YouTube and we instantly pop up without you doing anything, okay? Live streaming on Patreon is different, because through Patreon, brothers and sisters, we are linked to an outside video source. Patreon doesn't have a streaming service in of itself. So you must hit the play button and you must unmute if you can't hear. Some people are saying, well, I couldn't get it. I don't understand it. I went there. I got nothing at all, expecting the videos just to show like we have here. Okay. All right. So, and I understand this, brothers and sisters. Everyone isn't, computer savvy. We got brothers and sisters from all demographics, including, elder brothers and sisters and people are just all outright intimidated by technology, who are coming to this for the first time and all that, and trying to figure this out. Okay. Another thing that we have in the academy, speaking of that, is we're setting up a team for brothers and sisters who aren't computer savvy, so that if you do have problems, even when it comes to the academy, being able to get in, whatever the case is, we'll have a team set up that can actually contact you to walk you through, like an IT team, to walk you through the steps that it takes for you to view our videos with no issue. So we're setting up an IT team for that, okay? And I'm going to be discussing that in the future. Why? Because it's important that everyone out there, through the Spirit of the Almighty, in the name of Christ and the Holy Spirit, it's important, brothers and sisters, that you get on this frequency and understand what's going on. Okay? Whether you agree or not, one thing no one can deny: through all adversity, through sicknesses, no matter what's going on in the earth, when it comes to the events, prophetic events, the Gathering of Christ Church and our messaging, according to what the Most High have given us, are consistent and pointing out what you should be looking at in each instance, leading to what? Leading to them bringing forth a new world order, which is them coming against Jacob altogether. So whether you agree with us or like us, and let me tell you, and I'm going to make it clear, as a teacher, understand this: I'm not doing this to be liked. I could care less if someone like or dislike me. They hated Christ. They hated the disciples. They said all types of things about Christ. He's hanging with publicans and sinners. Look at him. He's no different than other people. Because why? No one out there can really fulfill someone else's idea of them. It's unfair. And it's impossible to fulfill someone else's idea of you. So no one, let me make it clear. Teachers are not there to be liked. They're sent by God to warn. Okay? And all of you brothers and sisters, free yourself from trying to have others understand you and be frustrated in that frustration, because you can never fulfill someone else's idea of you. Understand that. It's impossible. Your commitment is to God. And if you're married, your commitment is to who you made a vow or an oath with, in its proper order. And that extends out to the community, the family. You don't have nothing to prove to anyone but the God who called you and established you. Understand that. And you know what? If you walk that way, I'm going to tell you, brothers and sisters, you'll feel lighter every day. It's less pressure on you. Okay? I'm not here to be liked. What you see when we bring forth this certain understanding in key times of prophecy in these last days, and you hear it and you say, well, Elder, he dropped that. I was just thinking about that. Now I understand. I understand what God is saying according to the word. Understand. That's what I'm here for. I'm fulfilling my obligation that was put in me through God. And I seek his validation, not yours. Okay? With that, hold tight. We're going into Patreon. We're going into Patreon. Hope to see you there. And let me put it here. Okay. That's the particular Patreon that you can all go to. Okay. If you wish to join it, I made sure I kept it at the minimum. I think it's like $5 a month of something. But let me tell you, I put videos there, all of that. I put a lot of things there from old videos that can no longer that are no longer considered politically correct here. Well, guess what? A lot of those videos are over there, cut up in pieces and all that, okay? The other thing here, 1 second. 1 second. All right. One second. One second. One second, folks. I want to give you all this real quick also. A lot of you may not know this exists either. One second. Bear with me. One second. Oh, that's why. That was the issue. This page right here, brothers and sisters. Okay? I'm going to put this in the live stream so you all can see it here, okay? I had to find the page. GOCC Media. I need you all to see that for me real quick. GOCC Media. You see that? Make sure you click on this GOCC Media link and subscribe, okay? Make sure you subscribe to this link because there's a lot of clips and other things that we're going to be putting up here, okay? And eventually down the line, you know, we'll be able to use this channel for other things. But GOCC Media get video clips, shorts, and all that. So sometimes people can't sit through an hour or two or whatever the case is, 3 hours. The shorts and all that will be on that particular channel, okay? So make sure you follow us there. Music and other things also will be there. All right. With that, I'm going to say shalom. Face the east. I'm Elder Rawchaa. And thank you for being loyal Gathered of Christ Church members or followers throughout the four corners of the earth. And see you on Patreon. Shalom.
Together our wives and children that sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. Together us in Colombia, Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans, a highest gathering in Israel, Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians, a highest gathering in Israel. Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans. That's who we be. Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians, Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulun from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans, our highest gathering.